Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at my shiny Shadow Zapdos in the Open Ultra League. This Pokemon is actually really cool because it's a core breaker for the current meta, beating something like the Poliwrath, beating something like any kind of Talonflame, Skarmory, or even a Charizard if you want to see this Pokemon here. So it's a very cool Pokemon currently, but it took me quite a while to find a good team around this one. So I had like some previous teams basically that didn't work out as well. This team actually worked out really well for me, so I can actually recommend you to try this one out if you have a Shadow Zapdos, if you have the other Pokemon in the bag. Obstagoon should be something that a lot of people have, while Greedent is definitely something that is worth getting. I'm most likely going to make a tier list as well for the Ultra League for the top Pokemon for this current season, and this Pokemon definitely would be in there as well. But here we're going to see now the Swampert coming in against us. We can swap out into the Greedent, and here's the thing as well, like your Zapdos is insanely squishy, you kind of want to keep your shields for that. You're going to have a backline that is going to be pretty bulky here, which is kind of nice. But what you can actually do here as well is try to keep energy on the Zapdos. Keeping energy on the Zapdos and swapping out with energy is so important for like late game, because if you have like a Drill Peck stored, if you have a Thunderbolt stored, and the opponent is shieldless, they usually get one-shot by this Pokemon. So definitely worth doing something like this. Here the opponent is gonna still get to another Hydro Cannon against the Greedent. It is not going to be enough to knock us out, but we can knock them out, and so we're going to have the Swampert now with a ton of energy against our Obstagoon here. And Obstagoon can take a Hydro Cannon. I can still go for a Night Surge, most likely force the final shield from the opponent. Oh, it's actually going to let this move go through. It does not even matter anyway, because we even can take an Earthquake here. This is really cool here as well. Obstagoon is putting in some work. I feel like Obstagoon is also really decent in the current meta, but here we're going to be able to get the final shield and knock them out. Now let's move on to this second game. We're going to have a Rayquaza in the lead. This is going to be something that you rarely really see, and it's going to be a tough one for this team. I'm going to go up for 7 fast moves basically. Actually, I went up a little bit higher than this then, because the opponent gonna go for a Breaking Swipe. They're gonna get the immediate attack drop, which is kind of awkward, but you see already how much the Dragon Tail is chunking me. So I'm going to be forced to swap out eventually now into the Greedent. Can still go for the Body Slam Spam, which is going to do some decent damage when it's going to connect here. Definitely going to get the 2-shot, which is going to be nice. I can take a Breaking Swipe. They are okay, they got the 50% chance not here, which is kind of nice, and I can go for some Body Slam Spam with my Greedent against the Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini is going to be forced to go for a charge move against me as well, which is going to be okay for me. And also, you kind of want to get out the Tapu Fini because you have the Obstacle in the back. And here is where like Greedent is just really cool. You can really easily get out the Pokemon that Obstacle does not want to face, and here we're actually going to be able to even reach another charge move with the Body Slam coming in here. I can farm up a ton of energy, and I can swap out onto the Surf into my Obstagoon. So now I'm going to have energy on my lead, I'm going to have energy on my Obstagoon. I can go ahead and go for a charge move against the opponents. Rayquaza, hopefully they don't get the debuff. They do get the debuff, and this is going to be a little bit awkward, but if I get the boost here, this might be a little bit of a different story, and I do get the boost, which is really good for me. So I'm now at +1, it's not as overpowered as a +2 boost, but they're going to have a Skeledirge in the back, which is going to be okay for me, because I can go for the Night Slash. I'm going to be able to get a shield here, but I'm even going to get to another Night Slash, which is going to be able to definitely do a ton of damage there. But because I went for another Incinerate, I can swap out, go for the Thunderbolt, and just go for the full knockout there, and also the Zapdos is going to be able to knock out the Tapu Fini. Next opponent coming up, let's see what they're going to run. They're going to run a Giratina in the lead. And you kind of want to stay in for a little bit, because if they go straight for the Dragon Claw, that would be cool for you. But you kind of, again, want to have some energy on your Zapdos. And so we're going to get out of there with a Drill Peck stored, but the opponent is just completely hardwalling me from the lead till the Say Swap here as well. Hopefully they don't have something in the back that also can deal with the Obstagoon. This would be a little bit tricky. But I feel like Obstagoon is currently like kind of a secret pick here for the current meta, because not a lot of people are running Obstagoon anymore, and so they're not really expecting it anymore. But also, I would say that Obstagoon might be a little bit better with either the Gangshot or the Hyper Beam onto that Pokemon, because here we're going to run the Cross Chop, which is cool and all, because I kind of want to have something more against potential, something like a Steelix, which I found kind of interesting for this team to deal with, which would have been a little bit tricky, or like a Galarian Stunfisk. But I still feel like Hyper Beam as well as the Gangshot might help out in those scenarios that you're not supposed to win, but because you have that bulk, because there are a decent amount of matchups that you can win. For example, here, Hyper Beam would have been so cool against the Tentacruel, just most likely doing around like 70% or something, while now I'm stuck with the Night Slash, which is going to do next to no damage. It's kind of awkward for us. We're going to be able to swap out into our Zapdos, as we can still try to reach a Drill Peck, which I'm not going to be able to do, but I can at least go for the shield. They get the attack drop back to back there, which is a very nice for us, of course, but I can still go for the Drill Peck. Gonna get the knockout here, but the opponent is in such a great spot that I don't really have anything to do here, and so I'm going to decide to forfeit after this one now. Next opponent, we're going to have a Pidgeot in the lead. This is exactly what we want to face. Let's see what they're going to swap out into. They're going to swap out into the Giratina. I'd rather have the Greedent against the Giratina than the Obstagoon, because Obstagoon, while it's going to be able to triple resist basically the fast move, the own fast move is also going to be resisted. Plus here we have the debuff chance, which is a little bit higher than the own boost chance, which is kind of nice. And we're going to be able to get a ton of energy, but the opponent makes it easy and just forfeits immediately. Next opponent coming up, we're going to have an Ampharos in the lead. This is going to be a little bit of a trickier matchup for us, sadly, because Ampharos is going to do a ton of damage against the Zapdos in the lead. But I can swap out into my Greedent, do some damage with the Body Slam, and I should be able to reach another Body Slam very soon. But I decided to use a shield just in case they're having a nuke move, but they are running Thunder Punch plus the Brutal Swing apparently, which is kind of okay for us. And they decide to swap out, for whatever reason, into the Jellicent. Allowing me to go for one crunch, not getting the debuff is kind of unfortunate, but maybe I can get one for the second one here. Let's see if that's going to work out for us. We are gonna get actually the debuff here, which is kind of cool, but they should be actually able to get to 2 zeros, which is gonna get me a little bit lower, but we're still going to be in a very commanding position here. I can just even overfarm a little bit because the opponent is not yet at a serve, so now we are basically having a Body Slam still stored after this crunch, and I can now do some damage against the Ampharos again, maybe forcing a shield, but at least I'm going to be able to realign my Pokemon, which is really important. Plus Greedent is just honestly so overpowered. Honestly, I haven't done the tier list yet for the Ultra League, but I feel like it's either S plus or S tier for sure. It could even be S plus in the current meta. It's just such a strong Pokemon. It is just wild. Here we're going to have the Gliscor in the back, and this is actually going to be a very interesting matchup. The best thing that they could have against the Zapdos would be the Night Slash, and we can take a Night Slash. And if they don't boost, I can even take 2 Night Slashes, as you can see here. And so I'm going to be able to not even expend a shield. I can just go for the knockout. And Zapdos actually has a great matchup against the Gliscor. Even though they are a ground type and you are electric type, you're going to be fine thanks to both of the flying typings on both sides basically. As they're going to now go up against the opponent's Ampharos. Still, we can take a Thunder Punch and I can just go for the Night Slash. They already forfeit, as you see that I got some quests done with that, and we can move on to the next game. Next game coming up, let's see what they're going to run. We're going to have the Giratina in the lead again, and we do the exact same. You could even argue of going up to the Thunderbolt and then swap out, but here I decided to just go up to the normal one. They're going to swap out into the Talonflame. And this is actually wild because we are going to be in a fairly decent spot. We had so much energy advantage that we have basically nearly 3 Body Slams there already. And now we can go for another Body Slam, and then afterwards I can go for 2 more Force Moves and go for another Body Slam, and it's just spamming away the opponent. It is wild how much damage we can do here with our little squirrel. And we are in a great spot here because the opponent is going to use a shield. But you see already, I have so much energy still stored that I can just go ahead, use a shield, go for another Body Slam. And Body Slam is just so fast, it is wild. They're going to use another shield, but Greedent does not care. Greedent just gonna go for another Body Slam. Like, how many Body Slams was it now? I think it was like 5 or something. And we were able to realign, and not only this, we can even go for another Crunch, which will allow me to get some more damage onto them. And sadly no debuff, but it's going to be fine because I can take those moves with my Obstagoon. They go for the Ancient Power, and they are in a really bad spot. I still have a shield advantage, I still have my Obstagoon, I still have my Zapdos in the lead basically. And Zapdos, especially with a shield advantage, is just absolutely overpowered. I actually kind of want to see real quick on their side how strong the Zapdos is against the current meta with a shield advantage, because I feel like it beats nearly everything. It's just honestly so strong in the Ultra League. Also in the Great League, like this is a similar thing there as well. But I can definitely recommend you to try out the Shadow Zapdos. Here we're going to actually go up against one of the worst possible Pokemon. Something that resists everything here is going to be the Ampharos, but we can go for a Thunderbolt. Gonna do so much damage, and I can still go for another Thunderbolt. Going to be able to get the knockout here, and so we should be able to win this game against the Giratina here as well, as I can even reach another Drill Peck. Honestly, this thing is just absolutely madness. But let's move on to the next game. Apparently, Shadow Zapdos has a 84.2% win rate if you have a shield advantage, which is kinda decent, I would say. Only losing against 6 Pokemon, which are Alolan Ninetales, Steelix, Giratina, Ampharos apparently, which we just won because it was Shadow, as well as Guzzlord, which is kinda wild. And I feel like even Guzzlord is kinda okay for you because you have still the neutral Drill Peck there. We're going to be able to go for the Thunderbolt here against the opponent's Tentacruel in the lead. Kinda want to get rid of the Tentacruel because my backline doesn't want to face it, so I decide to stay in here. But my opponent makes a great play, catching the move on the Guzzlord. But here again, it would be something where I would love to have basically Hyper Beam on the Obstacle. That's definitely a change that I'm kind of regretting that I didn't do that. Because as you can see here, I can just go for the full Farm Down if I want to. Like, I don't even have to throw a charge move if I don't want to. I could just let them go for another charge move they don't own, and I can just go for the Hyper Beam then later on. But like this, I'm going to be forced to go for the Night Slash spam. Not much worse, of course, but I would have been easily able to just one-shot the opponent's Tentacruel instead, which would have been cool, but like this I can still reach another charge move. Going to get them low. They should be... I think they still have some energy here, actually, so it's going to be not as ideal yet. But we're gonna see here Greedent against Greedent in the back, and so because we had like one turn advantage here, I should be fine winning this game. At least that's what I imagine would happen here right now. But as you can see, the opponent is running Trailblaze, and this is going to change some stuff around, because like this, the opponent is going to be able to just do more damage with their body slams in the long run, but also they just wasted even more energy, which might be interesting. And if they ever want to swap out into the Tentacruel, their buff kind of resets, which is kind of nice. So here we're gonna see the crunch coming through, so they don't even run body slam, and I feel like this is not really the play for it. Yes, you can use it as a say swap and try to do something with it like this, but here as you can see, we're just in such a great spot. I can go for the body slam spam, and yeah, the opponent has nowhere to go here anymore. Crunch and Trailblaze seems a little bit weird. Body slam is just way too good to give up on, so let's move on to the next game. Next opponent coming through, we're going to have a Zapdos against the Cradily, a Pokemon that I kind of would like to play, but I don't think I have a hundo of it. Let me actually check on the side as well. Like, this Pokemon is definitely really strong in the current Ultra League, but you need a hundo for this Pokemon, so it's a little bit tricky to get this Pokemon built, especially if you don't have the XL Candy for it. I actually have the XL Candy for it, but here we're going to be able to go for a charge move there as well. As the opponent decides to swap out into the Clefable here with Fairy Wind as a fast move. We're going to be able to go for the Body Slam spam against the opponent as well. And Body Slam is actually chunking quite a bit, and we're gonna get out one of the hardest answers basically for the Obstagoon, so I'm kind of happy about this. I still should be able to survive a move here, even if it's a Moonblast. I think I'm fine, and they're gonna go for the Meteor Mash. And so I decided to swap out now into my, into my Zapdos. I still survive that, which is kind of sad, but I can let this next move go through as well. I still should be able to survive it. It's going to be a Moonblast, but I can still take this one, which is kind of nice. As you can see that the opponent is going to have in the back the Golisopod, and this is something that I can still play around, because I can still get to the Drill Peck here, which is going to get the shield. I can still go for the Body Slam spam, which is going to be a little bit better than the Night Slash spam against the opponent's Golisopod. So I can go even for a shield here, because I think I'm going to be fine later on with my Obstagoon. I can go for the Body Slam here. I'm going to try to catch the next move onto my Obstagoon. So I can go for 4 fast moves, knowing that the opponent should get to their Aerial Ace then. And they decide to swap out as well. Cradily against Obstagoon is going to be the best matchup that I could have had here, as I go for the Grass Knot, not going to do that much damage. And at least here, the Cross Chop might come in clutch, as I can do some super effective damage against them with this. And I can go for the full farm down afterwards, which will allow us to get some damage against the opponent's Golisopod. I decided to shield up a move here, because I know at least that this is going to be a hard-hitting move. While the opponent could bait me here with the Aerial Ace, I will be able to easily win this game, as the opponent still can go for a charge move. Aerial Ace coming through, not even going to be the actual charge move for it. The Night Slash should be kind of enough if they let this move go through, which they don't, but 2 more counters is all it takes, and we can move on to the next game. Next game coming up, we're going to have the worst lead again. Like, honestly, we don't even get the greatest leads here either, and we're going to get the... it's like the worst possible option here. We're going to get the Venusaur out. Venusaur is a core breaker basically for the backline, which is fine. Like, we have an ABB style line again. ABB style, you have to keep your lead around for like the answers for this kind of Pokemon, for the Pokemon in the back here, which are fighting type Pokemon. So it's going to be a little bit of a trickier one, especially because Venusaur is very bulky and resists the fast move of Greedent as well. Makes it a little bit more tough. But for example, if they have a Toxicroak in the back, Greedent actually can win, I think, the Zero Shield scenario against Toxicroak, which is kind of wild. But here we have to rely on our Zapdos. The opponent goes for the Sacred Sword. I can go up to the Drill Peck and go straight for it, and the opponent is most likely going to let this move go through, because they don't really want to use a shield there. I can swap out, and the opponent is going to hard counter me. And there was nothing I could have done there, and so we can move on to the next one. Decent lead for me, but not the greatest, and here I make a little bit of a mistake maybe. I decided to go for the drill pack, which, okay, was not a mistake, because the opponent uses a shield here, it's going to be fine. But drill pack itself is okay, but I kind of need to keep my lead around for the Poliwrath. If I don't keep my lead around for the Poliwrath, it's going to be a tricky one. Here we can go for the body slam spam against the opponent's Skunk Tank, which is kind of cool, but they can still go for a charge move. I'm going to let this move go through, hoping they still survive, and sadly I don't, which all was because of the 30% chance of the crunch, and this is going to completely destroy my entire game plan here. If the opponent didn't debuff me there before, this is going to, like, would have been such a better game here for us, because he would have been able to still go for the body slam, either realign or get the opponent super low for the Zapdos to farm them down. With having a shield advantage and energy advantage, Zapdos would have been just completely destroying everybody. But as I can just go for the Icy Wind here, they're going to have the Drapion in the back. I have to try to somehow get a little bit of the Switch Clock here so I can swap out later on. But I also have to keep some energy still for later on as well, which is going to be interesting. So I'm forced to swap out eventually, but I just can't. Like, I have to go for another charge move here. The opponent could let this move go through if they want to, and they do let this move go through, which is kind of awkward for us. And so I'm forced to go for the cross chops, which does not work out, and we can move on to the next game. If we didn't get debuffed there, I think we would have been fine for that game as well. But final game for today, we're going to have another Giratina in the lead. Again, you see, most of the leads that I encountered was really not favorable. But what is favorable is going to be the Charm matchup from the Clefable against us. Like, Charm Clefable is not the way to go against me, because Charm Clefable is just not as fast with getting to the charge moves. And I am very fast with getting to the charge moves, helping me to just out-spam them basically. And as you can see, it might be the better Pokemon in the Zero Shield scenario, but I can just use a shield and realign. And realignment, while knowing that they have a Giratina in the lead, is going to be so crucial, because I can just go for Crunch against Giratina. I still have my Obstagoon against the Giratina. I'm going to get the knockout here against the Clefable, but they're going to have the Ninetales in the bag, and this is looking really decent for me now. At least that's what I thought, because I can align my Pokemon correctly. But still, Ninetales of course has coverage for our lead of the Zapdos. So yeah, we're gonna get them a little bit lower, which is kind of cool for later on as well. I can go for the Drill Peck against them, which will force a shield for sure. Like, there's no way that they're going to let this move go through. And we will see them going for their own charge move. Now we have to hope that my Obstagoon in the back is going to be fine. But actually, they are gonna still get to a move here as I swap out into the Giratina, and it's going to be the Ancient Power. We still survive with 1 HP and a Dream, as I can swap out now into the Obstagoon. I do double resist, or like triple resist the fast move. The Dragon Claw does not do much damage here, and we can hope for a boost. If we get a boost, it's going to make this all way easier, and we're going to be able to get the boost immediately here. Double buffed attack now for the Obstagoon is going to be amazing, as we see the Dragon Claw coming through. It's going to do a little bit of damage, but we can just go for another Night Slash afterwards. Night Slash might even be enough to knock them out from this range already, but what we can do here is farm up so much energy for the potential Ninetales coming back in, as I can just go ahead and now go for another counter. This might even knock out the Giratina, but I doubt it will. But I can just go for another fast move, go for the cross chop. I don't think they're going to go for a charge move yet, and so I decide to go for the swap immediately, go for the Drill Peck and knock them out. And so the Shadow Zapdos is going to be able to win us. And that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.